Good morning, teachers. My name is Yagua, and today I am going to present you the topic Music in the 19th Century. Okay, let's start. The development of the music begins practically during the 19th century. So, that in the exposition of our particular history, we can omit the preceding centuries, something that will happen in all countries of colonial origin. The music can be basically divided not into cultural music, also called art music, and popular music. In the history of the American symphony, we find a great influence of his so-called popular music, and therefore I will present more information about American music. The orchestras of the United States, in this picture for example, is the orchestra. They constitute the fundamental part in the interpretation of the symphonies of the creative Americans. At present, we find symphony orchestras in all 50 states, according to the Association of American Orchestras. It is estimated that there are approximately 1,800 orchestras in the United States. Okay, one example of the orchestra is Chicago Symphony. The Chicago Symphony Orchestra was founded in 1891, being therefore Thomas Whitfield's child of conductor, and his work was continued by such notables musicians as Frederick Stock, Arthur Rosinsky, Raphael Kusplik, Jane Mortini, and Sir George Solly and Daniel Barberoin. Currently, its musical director is Riccardo Muli. And the next is Carlo Maria Giulini, Claudio Abbado, Pierre Boulez, and Bernard Halkin are among the most notable guest conductors. And since in 1916, it has been producing recordings, currently researching in 900 discs, which have won Grammy Awards, and making it the orchestra that has achieved the most. The most important orchestra is the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra was founded in 1914 with Wilson Galles as its conductor, and it was the first orchestra to make a radio broadcast of a symphony concert with pianist Arthur Schnabel, and its conductor have included Paul Paray, Aldo Secato, Aniel Doray, and Noemi Harp. Its musical director since in 2008 is Leonard Stalking, and the orchestra has been performing. It is renovated orchestra has since in 2003. The authors of the symphony in the 19th century. The first author is the Gottschalks. Okay, Luis Maria Gottschalk. He was born in the New Orleans in Louisiana on May 8 in the year 1829. He began his musical studies in Paris in 1842, unable to enter the conservatory because he was a foreigner, and he studied with private teachers in his house and gradually began to be famous for his piano and recitals, playing his own works, competing in the environment dominated by Liszt, Thalberg, and Chopin. The Gottschalk, he was created the Symphony No. 1, and Night in the Tropics is the name of the Symphony No. 1. Is D and 104 was composed between in the year 1848 and 1849. During his tour of the Caribbean, visiting Cuba, Martinique, or Guadeloupe, and the first movement bearing the Little Night in the Tropics was premiered in Havana in the year 1860. The other important author is Paine. Paine is here in the picture. John Knowles Paine is his name, and he was born on January 9 in the year 1839 in Portland, Maine. And on August 6 in the year 1857, Paine was elected organist of the Haydn Association Choral Society. And one of his musical works is the Symphony No. 1 in C minor, opera 23 was begun in the year 1872 and completed in the year 1875. It was premiered in Boston on January 26 in the year 1876, conducted by the Theodore Thomas. It was the first symphony written by an American in a style of German music and can truly be considered the beginning of American symphonic tradition. The next author is George Chadwick, and he was born in Lowell, Massachusetts on November 13 in the year 1854, and he received his first lesson from his brother, later in a defiance of puritanical father. He studied at the New England in Conservatory, and one of his musical works was the Symphony Sketches. The Symphony Sketches is L2.15 and which bear the indication in major actually constitute his fourth symphony, and they were begun in 1895 but were not completed until in the year 1904, and the verses precede each of the four parts of the works and showing the spirit on which the works is based. The final author is a woman. Her name is Bish. Okay, Amy Bish was born in the West Heinecker in New Hampshire in the northern of the United States on September 5 in the year 1867. Amy Marcy Cheney is her maiden name, was musically very precious, and she divided her family and the society of her time, okay, and which clearly differentially of the duties and obligations of the two sexes, okay. And the symphony was created is the symphony in E minor and Jellicoe in Opera 32, was composed between in the year 1894 and 1896, and it was premiered on October 13 in the year 1896, performed by the Boston Orchestra, and the purpose of this presentation was to make an easily intelligible exposition of the history of the symphony in the United States of America. And I hope you enjoyed it, okay? And finally is all for this video. Thank you for watching the video.